What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel to 49ers Unfiltered. I am Aaron, 49ers First Takes. We have Mike of SF Gold Rush, and we're going to talk about some 49er off-season topics. There's some things going around that are making a lot of 49er fans uncomfortable. Rams making moves. The Niners dealing with some sort of off-season contract drama. So it sounds just about right. Right, Mike?
Right up the 49ers off-season alley, right? Contract drama and other teams making big moves, aka the Rams going all in. So, yep.
So one of the things that's going on right now is the contract situation with Trent Williams. So John Lynch made it sound like that was going to get done as foregone conclusion, bada, right? He said a bunch of stuff, Mr. Word Salad, right? Mr. Due Diligence. But they haven't made any progress since last week. And then there's, rumors going around from, trying to think of the guy. I know you know his name. He's from NFL Network. His name is escaping me, but essentially he kind of put there the possibility the Niners could possibly release Trent Williams if they can't reach a deal, which I think would be catastrophic. It wouldn't be so bad if they had a plan in place. I mean, you've complained about that a million times when you don't hit on your draft picks. You're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you're forced to pay old people who are on the back end of their career a lot of money to stay because you don't have a better option.
Yeah. No, 100%. This could go down as one of the biggest blunders in John and Kyle's tenure here. Besides, nothing's going to top Trey Lance, but this could be number 2 right there, because they never had a plan, Aaron. They never had a succession plan for Trent. They kept kicking the can down the road, and instead they wanted to draft dudes like Ricky Pearsall and Michael Williams, and the list goes on, and they never wanted to address offensive line. Their philosophy is invest draft capital and money into people who touch the ball, and offensive linemen don't touch the ball. So guess what? Now they're going to have to pay up. And Trent Williams has done this to them how many times already? Twice already?
This will be number 3.
This would be number 3.
Yep.
So, they didn't see this coming. They didn't see him going to be like, hey, it's time to pay me again. Because he has all the leverage. He knows they have no one to back him up. He can hit free agency. There's going to be desperate teams that need a left tackle that are going to make a run that will pay him. And, yeah, I mean, Niners are SOL again.
Yeah, this offseason isn't taking off the way we wanted to. Especially we went into 2025 with that horrible 2024 season, right? Post Super Bowl hangover. It was understandable. Super Bowl hangover in 2024 was understandable. I mean, you listen to Trent in that interview, and it took him months. He got rid of all his social media. He ignored everything. He was really depressed about it. So the Super Bowl hangover that they experienced in 2024, and then you couple that with injuries, totally understandable. But then you go into 2025, and you got to have we all have that kind of renewed vigor, right? Oh, well, they're not going to spend a lot of money, but they're going to try to build through the draft. Expectations are low, hopes are high, and then they have a season like they did this year, where man, they really teased you, but in your heart they weren't good enough, mostly because of injuries, but also because of past and present drafts that either never hit or haven't hit yet. So now we're in this weird position where are we in a rebuild? Is our window open? I mean, you talk to my guy Sterling Bennett, he still believes the window is somewhat open. I'm of the mindset that the window has closed on that particular group that was, but if done right, and there's a big but on that, if done right, that window can reopen, and you still have Bosa, you still have Fred, you still have Purdy, and you still have Kittle and McCaffrey here for at least 1 or 2 more years to kind of transition into the other window, or maybe other people could come in and kind of elongate that. But all that's kind of up in the air, because it's I don't know what the plan is this offseason. They say it's all about building through the draft, quiet in free agency.
Hold on, Aaron. You keep freezing on us.
Oh, am I freezing?
Yep.
I might have too many windows open.
Might have to close the window like the Super Bowl window of the 49ers.
How am I doing?
You look good now.
All right, I had like 2 or 3 windows open, so where are we going
Should
here?
be good.
Am I better, guys?
You look good. Yeah, you were freezing every 10 seconds or so, but
Were
you
you
look good
picking
now.
up what I was saying though? Could you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you. But yeah,
So,
your screen was freezing.
what would you like to add into that? Kind of like this, like weird kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
It's like
Limbo that we're
half-ass.
in.
Yeah, it's like half-ass. Like it's either rip the whole Band-Aid off or go all in, right? And they wanted to do this half-ass rebuild this past season. Um, and it just kind of like it doesn't really make sense from our standpoint. Like they went into the season with low expectations. Hey, we're gonna get rid of all this dead money. We're gonna do this, and that. And their main free agent signing was Farrell, which was still an overpay and a ridiculous signing. But now, like, it really seems like that's the same mentality going into this year. Um, they're not saying the right things right now. They're showing signs of keeping expectations down. Don't expect anything. We're not going to be aggressive. We're going to be very targeted. We're going to be selective. We're not going to overpay. Just like, I don't know, they're having contract drama again and they don't learn their lesson, right? Contract drama always starts the season off bad. And now we're coming, even if we do come back fully healthy, Aaron, we have so many dudes coming back from like major surgery that we don't even know who they are or what they are. When they come back, they're going to be maybe diminished. They might miss a couple games to start the season. I'm just really like depressed already for the season upcoming.
Yeah,
I hate to say it.
my whole thing too is like in seasons past where you knew we were kind of in the window, like John, you could tell that they would be aggressive. Like they would say things like, if it makes sense, we'll do something. And they did it in 19. In 23 they did it. They brought in some pass rushers, Gregory and I'm trying to think of his name, Chase Young and stuff like that. So like,
Uh-huh.
but the way that they've kind of like went into things the last couple of years, it's like they have really lowered the expectations, and you just don't get that sense of aggression from John Lynch. I get a sense of like tepid, like measured. Uh, we'll see, the old due diligence season, I call it, where it's all about
Yeah.
due diligence, where we'll never say no to anything. We'll always take a look at things, but like our lifeblood is through the draft. Like that's not exciting.
No, especially when you can't draft. And the thing is, they didn't change up anything this offseason. We're taking a step back with defensive coordinator. Um, we're taking a step back with players. I don't really believe in this draft class. I hate to say it, but I mean, there's like one guy, Upton Stout, maybe. I don't really believe in Mykel Williams. I don't believe in Collins. I don't believe in West. They all graded out at the very bottom of their round with the players that were selected in their own round. So they're not drafting blue chip players. They're not getting this roster better. And we don't have as many assets as Seattle or cap space as, the Rams. Either of them. We're third place in assets and money. And they're just going to get better. And we don't have the firepower to catch up to them.
Yeah, it's you watch the Rams, and I guess we could get into that. So the Rams made a move today. They made a trade for, and I don't have the specifics of the trade, so you can criticize me if you want. The Rams acquired Trent McDuffie, cornerback from the Chiefs, which is, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And now he's a Ram. And they already have Witherspoon, and I can't remember the other corner that they got. And they have a pretty decent pass rush too. So like, man, the Rams kind of show you how to do it the right, like so maybe the Rams didn't do it the way you really want to in the beginning. Like they would really not consider the draft anything more than just assets to trade. But like in the years that they were forced to draft, they made big time picks, even in later rounds, right?
Yeah.
So that allows them to be like, okay, we're all in. We got Matthew Stafford, what, 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 more years? We're going to go all in and we're going to bring in starters. We're competing for a championship. And like, that's so exciting for a fan base. Um, Now, you as a fan, like, okay, there might be some lean times after Stafford's gone, and maybe things go downhill a little bit depending on who we get as quarterback. But like, you're willing to do that after you put yourself in a chance to win a Super Bowl every single year. We're not at like we're not even close to that. Like we have missed in a lot of drafts, so we're always kind of like playing catch up. Then you're forced, like I said, the last time we streamed, you're forced to hold on to guys that are old because you don't have a better option coming through the door for a cheaper amount of money. And so you're kind of stuck in this loop of like squeezing the lemon as much as you can for as
Yep.
long as you can because you've biffed so many times in the draft. So that's kind of where I am on that. And like props to Rams fans. Like they get excited every offseason, man. Like it must be fun to be a Rams fan. And let
They
me
had what?
go.
Oh no, go ahead.
As a 49er fan, I am very grateful that we've been in the Super Bowl twice and we've been in multiple championship games. I don't want to sound like a person who's not like that overlooks that. That means something. Like you go to a Dolphins fan like my brother and you start bitching and moaning about what we're dealing with this year and what we dealt with last year. And my brother's like, dude, I don't want to hear it. We haven't been in the playoffs in 20 some odd years, right? Since like 2002. So in that sense, like, yeah, I'm thankful the Niners, at least, they're going to try to put a competitive team on the field every single year, but like, a difference between a competitive team and a team that's going to at least vie for a world championship. And
Yeah.
me and you can say honestly with our hearts, the Niners, no matter what they do this offseason, they're not going to be in position to go win a world championship unless they bang the draft, they make key free agent signings, and they win a bunch of difficult games next year because their schedule ain't going to be harder or easier. It's going to be harder. So,
Absolutely. And the thing is too, like what the Rams had maybe one down season during their rebuild, right? Like they weren't even out for that long. They came back very quick because of their ability to draft and replenish players. And like you said, they have the luxury of saying F those picks because
right.
they built such a strong foundational young roster where they need a couple players to go get. They can blow a couple picks and go get those veterans, but they know the following year they're going to draft and hit again. So even if Matthew Stafford leaves, after next season, I still think they're high contenders because they could win a Super Bowl with that roster with a Kyler Murray at quarterback. You know what I mean? You plug a Kyler Murray in there on that team, they're right back in it, I think.
It'll be a different type of team where he's not a stand back and throw from the pocket guy, but McVay just has an ability. Say what you want about McVay. Actually, I have nothing really negative to say about McVay. I don't really. This is weird. Like I'm a 49ers fan, diehard since, I'm 36 years or whatever. But like I'll always give props to fan bases. Like there's some 49er fans that have refused to give the Rams props for how they do their business. They'll be like, well, we built to the draft. They built to. So what? They have a Super Bowl in their pocket and we still don't. Since 1994, the season. So there's that. They have two. They have the one that they got in 99 and then they have the one that they got a couple years ago. And they're always putting themselves in position to compete for a championship. And they put the Rams tested this Seattle Seahawks team better than anybody else did down the stretch. So let's not front either as 49er fans like, well, they lost to the Seahawks too. Yeah, but like it was more competitive than it was a special teams blunder, I think, that lost them that game. So I'm not saying that we got to run our franchise like the Rams. Like, I would just love to know, like, I want to get in the head of John Lynch and in the front office and Jed and be like, oh, what's the priority this year? What are we doing? Like, are we drafting safe players that fit our scheme, or are we going best player available because they're stud athletes that can make our team compete
They've never
uh,
done best player available. They
except for
not one
Bosa.
time. Yeah, Bosa was the only exception, but they've never gone best player available in the first round. That has never happened. Because if that was the truth, oh man, we would have an all-pro team right now. But they have not done that. And that's all I want them to do this year. I don't care. Every single round, I don't even care about position. Draft best player available every single round.
Yep.
That way it gives you the best chance to hit on players that can actually contribute instead of trying to put a round peg in a square hole. And I don't know. I wish they would follow the Ram strategy in just the fact, just draft competent players that can contribute. Like, just give me someone who can,
right.
who can play, right?
Someone got me the other day. It might have been on our live stream or maybe the Cover 3, because we kind of rehashed this same topic because it's a topic to talk about because it's current and it's 49er fans are pissed off about it. They're worried about it. Like the way, if the 49ers were the type of team that would sit there and be like, okay, we're going to be semi-active in free agency, and then we can go into the draft, and then we can be picky. You can be choosy, right? But like, they're not in that position. But then they come out and they're like, well, we're not going to be the vibe that they're giving off. And Barrows is like, yeah, they're not going to be active in free agency. So like, you're really, really putting all your eggs in the draft basket, where you've struggled mightily because you miss and miss and miss. So like, I would have more confidence to say that our way is the better way and it's more sustainable when you build through the draft. And the guy got after me precisely for saying like I never said we never did it as a franchise. I said the last handful of years we've missed in the draft and we haven't built new stars. He was saying, what are you talking about? We got Warner, we got this. I'm like, yeah. And
those
like
were later in the rounds,
2017 through maybe like 2022. 2021, the drafting of Brock Purdy in 2022, the only real guy that came out of that draft. 19, yeah, we drafted Debo, huge. Bosa, huge. I think Greenlaw came out that year, huge. But what have we done since then? That was the point I was trying to make. We haven't done a whole lot of anything.
No, for every good person we've drafted, we've missed on 5. So, yeah. And the thing is, later in the rounds, hey, I get it. It's a crapshoot. You're taking, a flyer on a lot of these guys, but it's the early rounds. That's where you're really going to find your blue chip players. And if you miss on 99% of your picks in the first 3 rounds, you're doing something horribly wrong, and you have to change your strategy. And your strategy change shouldn't be bring in someone who was here when we were missing, before, and run it back. Like, no, why don't you go to those franchises that draft well and have them look in on your process and be like, hey,
steal somebody from that, or look, I keep bringing this up. So Troy Aikman was brought in by the Dolphins, or at least there was a report that he was brought in to help with the coach search and the GM search, right? Not to change the franchise over, but they brought in a guy who was an incredible player. May not have been statistically like the most impressive, but he won 3 Super Bowls. Okay. He was an MVP in one of them. And they got some outside views. They now have a coach and a GM, and you can say whatever you want about them. They've sucked. They haven't done anything, but they have a coach and the GM that are on the same page. They have completely changed the culture, and the season hasn't even started yet. They're getting rid of all these overpriced, drama-filled players. Essentially, they say they're going to try to build through the draft because you should build through the draft. Like, that's how you sustain windows. The reason the 49ers were good from the way the early time in the 80s until maybe the mid to late 90s is because they used to bang out in the draft.
Yeah.
And they would always have players coming down the pipeline. You can get rid of a Dwight Clark when you have a Jerry Rice and John Taylor in your pipeline.
Absolutely.
You can get rid of John Franks because you have Brent Jones coming down the pipeline. You can get rid of Roger Craig because eventually you're going to have a Ricky Waters coming down the pipeline. You can get rid of Tom Rathman because eventually you're going to get a bar none, the fullback, I forget his name, William Floyd. Like, look, I mean, you can even think about like Terrell Owens. We love Jerry Rice as 49er fans. He's to me, he's the greatest professional athlete, not really with skill, but just what he did, right? But yet the Niners were like, oh no, we don't want to draft somebody else. What did they brought in? Terrell Owens, right? They went and they drafted JJ Stokes. Like, you gotta, like, this whole situation that the Niners have found themselves in right now is all on them because they haven't found the ability to draft players that can come in and replace guys. You eventually have to say goodbye to people, man. Like,
and it's not only that, but they won't change the process. That's the thing that's driving me nuts. Like, how have you not changed your process when you failed this many times at doing the same thing? You know what I mean? It's just like, you guys got to change something up.
Everything needs to be on the table. And as far as Alec Pierce, Joseph Ehrenberg, that's not happening.
No,
it's not happening. I want it to happen. It'd be great. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I'm telling you, all these scenarios that you guys are peeing in your pajamas for, I'm going to crush your dreams, because I'm going to tell you, the first 2 days of free agency, the 49ers will not be active. The Niners will be active on day 3, and they're going to go bargain bin shopping. Now, some of the players that they could go after in the bargain bin some of them are, I have an interest in. One of the guys, so a lot of the talk has been about Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. I would love Crosby, but that's assets that you have to give up. Now, we haven't hit in the draft, but still, you'd have to give up a lot of assets for a guy going into his 30s, right? Or in his 30s. Hendrickson he had an injury last year. He's also aged. So we have this guy, his name is Jonathan Grenard from Minnesota. Sterling's been talking about him, and it's starting to catch waves on social media.
Yeah.
If that was the kind of move that they made, and he's had 2 double-digit sack seasons recently, like 12 and 8, like, he's actually a really skilled player. And I think I got some, like, if that was the move that if they made a couple moves like that, and they kind of like filled holes with lesser known guys for a cheaper amount of money, but like they have a good track record, that's where you could get me excited. That's where they could be going in free agency. But this whole mindset of like Crosby, Niners are connected, he's not going to 49ers. Not going to 49ers. You know where he's going to end up going? Probably the Rams.
The Rams. And I think they're going to be hyper aggressive. Rumor is out there that Dallas has already offered 2 first-round picks for him, but the Raiders want more, and the Rams are hot on the trail for Max Crosby. And I think my gut feeling now is the Rams are going to end up getting him, and they're going to ride off into the LA sunset, holding up another Lombardi in their home stadium, and they're going to be laughing at the rest of the league with more shirts saying F those picks. And their reset will be very quick again because they draft very well, and they already have a very strong core, of young players on, rookie contracts. And unfortunately, I feel like that's the way it goes. But, if you're a Niner fan, there's 2 ways to think about this, right? Like, yeah, all right, 2 first-round draft picks. Would you trade Max Crosby for Mykel Williams and Ricky Pearsall?
Sure.
Yeah, in a heartbeat, right?
Because a couple picks. Yeah, absolutely.
That's who.
I don't care what Ricky Pearsall is going to be. I don't.
Yeah. So
because there's nothing that he is that you can't replicate by drafting somebody. Yeah. What does he do that's so special? Oh, when he's healthy. He's never healthy.
Never.
So that's a non-factor for me. I'm sorry.
So the first round draft picks, like you said, Aaron, like, yeah, we miss on all of them anyway, so might as well trade them away. But then the other thing is like money. It's the cap. So I think I would rather, as a Niner fan, just because of how many massive holes we have across this whole team, like almost every position we have a massive hole. I would rather get 2 above average players than 1 Max Crosby, because I don't think we're there yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I told you, and I told the guys, I told them that I told you this last week, and I told them in the stream, I want quantity over quality. I don't want 2 big name guys. I want 5 mid guys.
Yeah.
So Grenard, sure. There's the one guy from the defensive tackle from the Broncos. I forget his name. I got it in here in my notes.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
John Franklin Myers. That's a name. Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Naylor. If they were to make moves like that, bro, and like kind of fortify themselves depth wise and then draft really good this year, yeah, I could see it. But are they going to make even those moves? That's the question. Like how
they're not
how stingy are they going to be this year? I'm telling Niner fans right now, and I am a Niners channel, your expectations for free agency have to be non-existent.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Even guys like Barrows and stuff and all these other players, guys are trying to be like, hey, could the Niners, in their heart, they know the Niners aren't going to make any of those moves. And it's sad because it would be awesome. I read, see, you bring in a Max Crosby, I think, when you're built to the point where you need like maybe you're one player away to put you over the top, right?
Yeah.
That's when you bring in a Max Crosby. Bring in Max Crosby, and now with all the holes we have, we're not a Max Crosby away from winning a championship.
Exactly. Yeah.
We need defensive line depth. We need linebacker depth. We need another safety. We need wide receiver help. We need offensive line help.
Receivers.
We need a younger running back, a younger tight end. Like the Niners have holes across the board, dude.
Yep.
All
Rondale Moore is going to the Titans. Joseph, I know he put that there. I heard he's like a seconds away from signing with the Titans, but they just released the Steelers just released what's his name? Johnny Smith, the tight end.
Yeah.
So there's another tight end on the market that the Niners could,
could. I want to ask you about something that you brought up the other day in one of your shorts. You made 2 shorts. I'm gonna get you on both of the shorts because your shorts, people get on me and you because they're like, oh my god, he's so negative. They're so negative. But like every time you make a short, I'm always like, he's reading my mind. So one of them was that the league, because John Lynch said we're going to be targeted in free agency. We're going to be targeted in free agency, and I'm like, what does that mean? But then you made the short and you said the Niners are used as leverage. That's why the Niners are always in these conversations, is that agents say they use the Niners as a bartering tool. It's not that the Niners are actually in play for like 85% of these players. It's that teams use that as a bartering chip.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? How sad is that?
It is sad because it gets the fan base all riled up, right? When all these reports come out, like they got me really good on the Danielle Hunter one. Like they said the Niners were deep in on him. They were very aggressive. I think there was even a fake report that said the Niners were like in the lead to get him. And I was like, oh my God, another one. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I should believe it or not, but I was hyped up on him. And then boom, of course, stab right in the heart. Not true. But to me, it's just, I've never seen a team where every single free agent player or player who might be traded is linked to the 49ers. It's literally every single player. I can't even think of one who's not, right? Like every single one, they're like, oh, Niners might have interest. Well, yeah, no shit. But I think it's the agents using the Niners as leverage. And maybe in some sick way, Jed York, because they always tend to use the national media instead of their local beat writers, right? They tend to leak stuff to them. It's his way to drive up excitement for the team by maybe leaking something to them, saying, "Oh yeah, we made a call. We're trying to see what the price is," when they're not even really interested. You know what I mean? They're more window shopping than anything.
I mean, it's a compliment that the Niners are mentioned. You can look at it like that if you want to be positive. Like, we're a class act. I mean, the 90s, I will say this, the Niners, when it comes to class, we're very classy. We're a classy organization. We do business right. Like, you can say a lot of things about the 49ers, and we're going to get into some of them, but like, Niners, for the most part, their players are pretty high class guys. The way John and Kyle run this ship, the way they do contracts for the most part, like they're professional. There's not a lot of strife going on behind the scenes other than contract issues. Which here's a question for you. Would you trade all that good stuff for a team that's full of strife and drama if that meant winning a championship?
Yeah, I would trade Aaron, I would trade anything. I would trade. There's not a lot of things that I wouldn't trade for a Super Bowl, okay? My son and my family's health, and that's about it. That's the only thing I wouldn't trade. But
Yeah, and I
everything
would
else,
have problems with you if that was the case, and you were like, "Nah,
yeah,
I'd give that up too." I'd be like, "Hey, you really, dude?" No.
everything else is pretty much on the table. All right. But yeah, it just sucks. And I call it the link jinx because anytime you hear a name, I have yet to remember where they've linked a name early and it actually ended up being true. I don't know. Do you remember any off the top of your head that you can remember where they've actually linked somebody who was interested or that the 49ers were interested in that actually came out and signed with us? I can't really think of any.
Oh, maybe not recently. Someone who was interested in the 49ers that ended up signing with them. No.
No,
There's
anytime I've
probably
heard a national reporter put it out, I'm just like, oh well, that's a jinx because it's not
there's
going to
probably
happen.
somebody that we've not, I'm old, so it's been a lot of seasons that I've been going through this. What was I going to ask you? I totally forgot.
But my whole point about this is, as Niner fans, you have to look. We've all seen this song and dance before, and now I've learned my lesson, and now I don't get excited anymore when I see a name, put out by Adam Schefter or Aaron Wilson or whoever. I'm just like, all right, dude, sure, yeah,
Do
nice
you
try.
do you think one of the reasons the Niners are not going to be super active in free agency is Jed York has been like, you know what? I let you spend money and you haven't accomplished what I said and want. I mean, and if that's how Jed's running things, I actually don't have a problem with that because then it means winning means something to him. And he's like, no, you got to fucking hit in the draft. This spending crap. This is ridiculous. It hasn't nothing's come out of it, right?
Yeah,
When they in '94 when they went all in and they got Ken Norton and they got Ken Norton, they got Dion, they got Gary Plummer and Richard Dent, Ricky Jackson, all these guys, right? That was all in like I've never seen. And guess what happened? They won the Super Bowl. Did they have some issues later on with salary cap problems down the road and whatever, blah, blah, blah? Yeah, to still win a championship, though. Like,
mm-hmm.
I don't want them to run their organization like that now where you just throw money away and stuff. But like, I can understand if Jed has an issue like letting them open the wallet now because they haven't produced a championship. And they spend a lot of money on their own guys. You got to say, at least we pay. There's a lot of teams like the Patriots. They never paid their own guys. Guys were constantly being let go or traded or whatever. And in that aspect, I'll give the Niners props. So what do you think about that? Like, do you think, first of all, what about that? And then secondly, do you think John Lynch's job could be in jeopardy?
Well, so the first part about that is if that is true, if Jed York was like, I'm not giving you guys any more money, I'm closing the bank account, and you guys got to hit on the draft. I mean, wouldn't he know that they can't hit on the draft because they haven't been able to? So wouldn't it be like more like, you know what? I'm cutting off spending, but I'm gonna bring in a different set of eyes to help you guys draft because you guys need to hit the draft. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're relying on them to hit on the draft when they haven't been able to do it. Um, so I think both parts are true though. I do think he's telling them no more money. They had to sell parts of the team, right, to get all this liquid capital to go play with soccer teams and shit. And um, I don't know.
It really doesn't sit well with you. You do
No,
not
I
like
am I
that.
am very angry about that because Eddie D would never, he would
Oh,
never do that. You know what I
maybe
mean?
after winning like 10 Super Bowls, he might consider it. But then again,
Maybe,
maybe
but
not.
but then he would just want to keep wanting to win more because the most important thing in his life would be winning championships for the 49ers, not bigger things like Jed York said he has his eyes on, which I don't know what in the world that could be. But what was the second part of your question? I forgot.
Could John Lynch's job be in jeopardy?
It has to be. You cannot have the record you have right now and not be. on the hot seat as far as GM goes. I don't know if they would fire him right out. I think they would promote him to,
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they would fire him. They would move him and they
Yeah,
would bring somebody else essentially in to do his job.
I believe so.
Because I think him and Kyle are pretty attached at the hip. I think if he
Mm,
goes in an unceremonious way, Kyle might say, "Peace out, bitches," and I'm out of here. And that would suck because, listen, has Kyle choked up a little bit in the Super Bowl? Sure. Has Kyle fallen short of the mark? Sure. But who else in the NFL right now can you honestly say could come to this team or one could have done the job that he did last year with this squad, playing a bunch of freaking pizza delivery guys, and truck drivers and guys that are on the freaking, playing with their kids one day in the park and the next day they're playing defense for the 49ers, right?
yeah.
And like he was able to do that. So like for that in my book, even though he hasn't won for that in my book, Kyle kind of has, I can't say given himself like, for in my eyes like a lifetime kind of like a whole like what's the word I'm looking for? Like eventually I would, be like if they just started sucking for year after year, but like he has a lot of leeway in my eyes still.
Yeah.
John,
And I
not
don't know
so much.
I don't know if you caught what Trent Williams was did that little interview. I don't know if you caught that. It just came out like yesterday or the day
No,
before.
I seen something about him giving Kyle a bunch of praise.
Yeah, and he was talking like the way he was talking about Kyle was like he was talking about his child, like he was just like blown away. Like he's like, man, Kyle really had us believing that we could actually win a Super Bowl, even though we had a bunch of scrubs in the locker room. He's like, it wasn't about, we didn't believe because of the talent that we had in there. He's like, we believe because of how good of a coach he is. And he's like, I feel bad for all the other players in the league because not a lot of people get to experience a coach like that. But they're like, his attention to detail and the stuff he makes you see in a game to give you that edge is second to none. And, I think that speaks, mountains of what a coach he actually is. And to me, that's why I'm like, I don't really think Trent wants to go play anywhere else. You know what I mean? Obviously, Trent is about his money, but Trent's made a lot of money. He's comfortable with Kyle.
There's
And
part of me that says he's being selfish.
yeah, of course.
Because it's like, because we're the football team fans and we want our team everyone to just take, less money for the team because we're
Yep.
football fans. But there's a business side to this.
Yep.
And we're not privy to that. We don't make millions of dollars. So like, what do we know, right?
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about that you also made a short about that we touched on last week, but it was the grades that came out for the training staff and the travel, but mainly the training staff. And you were like, you made a short and you were just like, how come nobody challenges this organization? How come none of these beat reporters have the balls to say, wow, you guys are looking really rough in those rankings? Are you thinking about doing anything? Like you were pretty indignant about it, and as I am, because I complained about it all last year and I got nothing but grief and people rolling their eyes at me like, oh, you bitch and complain about injuries, everybody's hurt. It's like, okay, now your own roster, people within your own locker room are saying, yeah. And it's like C minus, almost a D. That's like bottom of the league for a team like the 49ers. What's your thoughts on that? Or
I mean,
like to reiterate.
Yeah, I was pissed when I saw that because it's like, look, the players that play on your team are even telling you this is not good. And when you're one of the most injured teams in the league for the past 10 years, like it's not coincidence. It's not a one-off. Yeah, Buffalo was really injured this year, but that was a one-off. You know what I mean? That wasn't, they're consistently injured every single year. And then when you have the grade come out to back that up, and it's like, not one beat reporter was like, what are you guys changing? Because that's the number one storyline of the 49ers, right? Substation, injuries, free agents are not going to want to sign there, blah, 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 this and that. Every question on Radio Row for the Super Bowl, when they asked the players, oh, what do you think about the substation? What do you think about this? But none of the beat writers asked what, the 49ers are planning on doing to change their training staff and the way that they do stuff, because obviously the players don't like it and it showed in the grade.
Yeah, that was wasn't surprising to me
Yeah.
that the players felt that way. I just think it's I just think it's like the amount of like almost disbelief and like when you ask John questions or you ask people in the organization questions like, what are you talking about? Injuries
Oh,
happen.
yeah. Just
We're
blow it
doing the
off.
best. We do the best we can. We always do our due diligence. I swear to God, I made a comment about that in a post before John had his press conference at the combine the first day, and I was quoted as saying he's going to say something about we're not going to make moves unless they're absolutely necessary. We're not going to make moves to make moves. He said that, and then he said something about due diligence, and I'm just like, geez, you know your team and your front office when they're so freaking robotic in their responses even when you bring something up like, "Hey, you've been like bottom of the league in injuries for like the past decade, other than 2023. Care to comment on what you guys might be thinking about doing?" And it's almost like, "What are you talking about? Like injuries are part of the game." Yeah, but your whole fucking team is injured all the time, every single year. And every year
Yeah.
we don't make it, it's always, well, if we were healthy. Nobody wants not nobody like me or anybody like you or anybody who has like the patience of a little piece of grass wants to hear that injury crap anymore. Nobody wants to hear that. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And you're right.
100%.
Like nobody questions these guys.
Yep.
Grant Cohn, I don't like you. I think you're a tool. Do your job as a troll and ask them, please. I'm begging you. Somebody soundbite this, clip this, and go send it to Grant. Be like, I don't like the dude. I think he's a cornball, but he's a master troll. Go troll Kyle or John and
Yeah.
ask the question that nobody will ask because nobody has the balls. Mayoka has some testicular fortitude, but not enough. He'll ask the hard question, but it's always kind of in like a perfect setting, like 4K studio with John Lynch somewhere in the facility. Like
Yeah.
I want like a random question, like you catch somebody at like an airport or like coming out of the men's bathroom, like, hey, and they don't have time to like make a statement and get their true like feelings about it. But no one's ever going to do that. So sucks.
They will not. They will not. They ask the softball questions and they never really press them. So that's what kind of irks me because they get off pretty easy and they just get to skate on through. And as a fan, you want answers for, you know, the lack of performance from either the GM or whoever is not performing well, and you want to know why and what they're going to do to change it, and they just don't. They don't do it.
It's them getting to the Super Bowl twice and all these conference championship games. They've almost given themselves such the rope is so long for them to fail because you
Yeah,
could be like, hey, look at our track record, and you have to look at their track record, even though that hasn't accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. And that's kind of like we're stuck. We're
yep,
stuck. Like, yeah, it's true. They do have a good track record. I guess we'll keep them because if we bring somebody in, there's no guarantee that they can do it. So you're like
yeah,
stuck in limbo. You can't make any moves. And if Kyle's attached to John and John's attached to Kyle, you're stuck. So it's
exactly.
like, ugh. Um,
Hold
one
on, Aaron.
thing,
I gotta hold your thought real quick. I have to run real fast. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
yes, sir.
Yeah, hold on.
Look at that Steve Young jersey on the wall, guys. What do you think? So I'm going to ask him when he comes back what he thinks about Mac Jones not having much of a market. So right now, it looks like the Niners are asking for a pretty hefty haul to get him in, namely like a first round pick or something like that. And there's no way that's going to happen. Yeah, there's a report that the Dolphins could be interested, and be interesting to see if the Dolphins would make that move. But yeah, but we'll wait till he comes back. Uh, Aaron, the team is laughing stock of the league. I don't know if they're the laughing stock of the league, Joseph, but they're definitely they're maybe the laughing stock within their own division. I wouldn't say they're in the league. I know a lot of teams would love to be the Niners in other aspects, but
All
I'm just
right.
waiting.
Sorry,
I was just
work.
talking about your Steve Young jersey in the back.
Oh yeah, Mr. Steve. Oh man.
So I asked the audience, and I'm going to ask you, what's your thoughts on the balloon being popped with the Mac Jones trade value being really low. Thought that was kind of funny. The Niners thought they had something there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the market changes with time, but I'm kind of glad we need them.
I know.
So, like I've been pretty consistent about this the entire time, and I really, really think that they need to keep Mac Jones. That way, if Brock does get hurt, I'm not like, well, there goes the season. He gives you the best chance to win. And either way, we're gonna get a draft pick from him anyway if he leaves next year, right? So to me, I don't really see it as a big deal. I'm actually glad he's here. So I want to keep him.
Joseph says the Niners will be last place in their division. I might argue on that one. I mean, unless the Cardinals are absolutely crazy this offseason and become this like powerhouse team, which hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened. I think without major move, we are cooked. Yeah, and it's not even like we have to make the top move, CJ Gray, but like inactivity to me is just stupid. Like I've said before, make 5 mid moves. When the guy from the Vikings, Grenard, that pass rusher, he has a pretty good track record. He's kind of a lesser known guy. He's had 2 double-digit sack seasons recently, 12 and a half. I mean, he's shown that he could be a pass rusher. He could play outside linebacker. He played defensive end. Right up the Niners' alley, and he might be somewhat inexpensive. The Alec Pierces and the Crosbys and the Hendricksons, it's just not going to happen.
It's not, and it's kind of like
they're not one.
When the Justin Jefferson thing came up, like, oh, the Niners could trade for Justin Jefferson. I was like, no, I would rather just have upper mid tier guys than just one Justin Jefferson. Like the Niners need depth. They need bodies. And we're not the Rams. We're not a Max Crosby away from, hosting the Lombardi right now. We have to build this team back up.
Yeah. Listen, the Niners could build this thing back up. Maybe. I don't know if they will, but they could in the next couple of years. And maybe next year they're a really good team. And then it starts over. Maybe the window opens back up. Somebody said that the Niners aren't in the same place as the Rams. They're at a different place in their team development. That the Rams are capitalizing on the end of Stafford's career and they're going to go all in, whereas the Niners are kind of in somewhat of a rebuild, which they are. People say it's a retooling. It's a rebuild. They're rebuilding. They're old and they lost a bunch of players and they haven't been able to replace them. What about Kavan from the Giants? Thibodeau? A lot of people say he's more of a name than anything. Like, what's the allure? Like, he hasn't really proven that he's a huge sack guy. So if he came here for like a 5th round pick, which that wouldn't happen, but if it was like a day 2 pick or a day 3 pick, yeah, why not? Get yourself some depth, and then maybe Chris Kassir can turn this guy from chicken shit into chicken salad. There's that. But that's the kind of moves they need to make. They need depth moves. They're not one guy. Like the Alec Pierce move wouldn't have ever need to happen if the Ayuk situation wouldn't have. Because Ayuk was a really good player.
Yeah.
He was a difference maker on this team. But he's probably has some mental health issues, which I totally can identify with because I deal with severe clinical depression and anxiety and OCD and all that stuff. So I get that part. Him going AWOL, I'm sure we'll find out down the road what's wrong with them, hopefully. That really screwed them, man, because then it allows Pure Assault to kind of develop at his own pace if he ever does. Now they're go ahead.
I mean, it's just like the Ayuk situation is sad because to me, like you said, Ayuk was showing that he had like amazing talent. But then on the other hand, it shows me the Niners missed again, right? Because they could have had CeeDee Lamb instead. Like it's just like they just can't get it right. Like no matter what they do, even if someone appears to be going in the right direction, it's like, nope, they should have picked the other guy instead. And it's like, dude, I don't know. But this team is definitely in a different place, and they have so many holes that, like you said, we have to go. I'm kind of worried they're gonna go the super cheap route, and they're gonna go like the Cleveland Farrell type signings for DN again, like a bunch of those guys to just keep it cheap. And they're like, oh well, Nick Bosa is gonna come back, so we're gonna be fine. So as long as
That's
we
the
have like a,
problem.
you know,
That's the problem that I have with them is they do this thing where, well, we got guys coming back from injury. Yeah, that would be great if you weren't always hurt as a
yeah,
team. Like that thing, oh, someone's coming back from injury. It'd be like, oh, they're never really hurt as a team. They're pretty healthy all the time. But that's not the case. So when you hear like so and so is coming back from injury, it's like, yeah, so what? Someone else is going to get nailed next year, or
yeah.
6 players are going to get hurt next year. Like you've done nothing to address the concerns of the fans and of the players and of potential free agents. So it's just like business as usual for you. You're going to blow smoke up everybody's ass. You're going to draft the way you always draft. You're going to be cheap in free agency and say, well, it's all about the draft, but yet you haven't hit. Like this, them being quiet in free agency didn't piss me off because I didn't think they were going after a big name. That's not what pissed me off. It's the building of the depth that really concerns me. Like, why would you not want to do that at least? Why not have 5 mid signings? No one says you have to go out and get all these top guys. You're not good enough.
The one that you do spend money on is Farrell.
Yeah, like he didn't, and he did nothing last year. It was all
he was never good. So like, what made you want to drop money on that dude? I don't get it.
And they love how they try to sell you on it too. That's the part that always gets me.
Yeah, it's like, dude, these guys, man. I don't know. I'm just pretty sad because I'm just waiting for the news to drop that the Rams got Max Crosby, and I might as well not even watch football next season because that is going to be impossible to go through.
Especially if you somehow move on from Trent Williams and then try to tell yourself that you're going to be able to block. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so the Niners are going to lose Trent, and then Rams are going to get Max, and here we go.
Due diligence, though. We're doing due diligence. That's all. Like, who cares if you're doing due diligence? Go make signings. One thing I want to ask you before we get out of here is, I saw something on social media, and I didn't talk to you about it before the stream, and was how the Niners missed twice with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, having 2 potential franchise quarterbacks for years and years.
Okay.
When you look back at being a Niners fan over the last however many years you've been alive, how much does it irk you knowing that we could have had Brady and Rodgers?
Bro.
And Josh Allen to a lesser extent?
It's hard to swallow because we should have like 6 Super Bowls. Honestly.
We should have like 8 at least.
Yeah. And it's just like the decisions that they made were critically devastating. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, maybe we're better off here. Like, no, man, these were franchise altering decisions.
Yeah, like team malpractice to the highest degree.
Yeah, like you kept Jimmy over Tom. Like, what were you thinking? Like that was insanity.
You went to bed thinking
everybody wants to keep coming to the team, and you're like, no, we're good. We got Jimmy G. Like, bro, what?
It's like they'd rather be right at their way they do things than actually taking a chance. Like the fact that Kyle went to bed. How do you go to bed not sealing the deal with Matt Stafford and then waking up later and finding out that he signed with the Rams? Like, how did you not see that happening? Everybody in their grandpappy knows that the Rams are like the most aggressive team in the National Football League. They're like the LA Dodgers are right now. They get all the good players.
That decision cost the 49ers, what, 2, maybe 3 Super Bowls?
The Niners easily, with Stafford could have easily won. Yeah, easily 2 Super Bowls. Easily.
At least two.
Both Super Bowls against the Chiefs, I think, are winnable with him at quarterback.
Yeah, because
I'm not trying to downplay Brock, but Stafford's at a different level at this point in his career.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest.
He's not a second-year quarterback playing in the Super Bowl, trying to decipher Spagnuolo's defense. You know what
And
I mean?
I'm sure the only problem I have is like Kyle, the Niners are not a drop back football team. And like the one thing about Stafford is he is a drop back, traditional shotgun drop back and throw the ball 50 times a game. That's just what he does. Could Kyle do that with a guy like him? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, he could. Absolutely he could. And I think and then you think about the repercussions of that, of them now trading 3 first round draft picks to blow on Trey Lance. Like you could have had Stafford
Those
not
three
blown
draft picks
3.
could have helped. That could have helped you rebuild your team.
Exactly. See, like the domino effect of those decisions were, like I'm telling you, they were devastating, absolutely devastating to the franchise. So yeah, it's not it's hard to swallow because it really makes you think of how many, like, we could be the greatest football team in the National Football League history. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
We blew it.
And like I said, I didn't want to down Brock, but I'm just saying at the point of his career when he was in the Super Bowl compared to a guy like Stafford, it's just not comparable. I
Yeah.
love Brock. I think the Niners are doing Brock dirty by not focusing on the offensive line and getting him some skill position players. Because you can watch that divisional game and you're going to be like, oh, Brock's his fault. He threw the ball, he threw interceptions. Dude, he had nowhere to go. He had
No,
nobody
that line was
open.
getting blown up. The
They
line was
couldn't
getting
get they
blown up. The
couldn't get
wide
a fourth
receivers
down
couldn't get
run.
open.
Yeah, like Brock,
No.
to me, if you had to list what was wrong in that game and there was 10 things, Brock would be like, there'd be like an asterisk, it'd be like 10.1 or something, like in
Yeah,
a different category, because he really wasn't the problem.
exactly.
You give him at
100%.
least a normal defensive offensive line and some skill position guys that can get open downfield against man coverage. Actually, they didn't even really play a lot of man coverage. They played a lot of zone.
A lot of zone. Yeah, and
I keep thinking they played man,
they
but they were just sitting there. They had a too high shell. They had two safeties playing deep, and they were telling you like, hey, if you're going to beat us underneath. But the Niners had nobody to beat them underneath with. So
they couldn't shake him.
yeah,
Like you said, Brock was the last thing on my mind when I was putting blame on people. Kyle was definitely higher than Brock on that one, on that list for sure. Play calling, decision making. Yeah, but definitely not Brock. But what could have been, Aaron? What could have been?
yeah, what could have been. All right, everybody. I think we're gonna get out of here. If you're on TikTok and you've been watching the stream from there, don't be afraid. Come over to YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe. In the coming months, I'm trying to work on an intro and a background. My guy, SF Gold Rush, has got himself a super chiseled jaw caricature
Pretty
to
dope.
match my goofy looking redheaded ass one. So in the next couple of months, hopefully we'll get all that squared away and it won't have 49ers first takes up above. But everybody, have a great rest of your evening. I'll keep everybody in the loop with the shows going forward, just with, whatever news that's happening. That's why I did it Wednesday, because there was more news today than there was, say, on Monday. So that's kind of how I'm playing with me and Mike. Mondays might not be really locked down until we get into like the nitty gritty, like the draft, free agency, and then the season, of course. So everybody have a great rest of your night. Stay safe and healthy, and go Niners. Peace out,
Go
everybody.
Niners.